1, 2. Okay. I need to do that again. Everybody hear that? Got it? Yeah. This is going to be something a little new for us now, so tell us if we need to do something here. Okay, it's being recorded. Okay. First of all, we'll call to order the meeting. We have a quorum here. We do have a quorum. Okay. Next item is public comments. Do we have any public comments out there? No public comments. Next item is approval of minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
You gotta get in the mic.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? If so, all approved?
Aye.
Speak up. Everybody quiet today. Any nays? Being approved. We have the January employee of the month, Michelle Shooter, RN.
Yes, Courtney.
Here.
Michelle is not here. Michelle worked last night, and so she's not here. But I want to read something that was sent on her behalf. It says, Michelle has shown exemplary performance working in the ER. There is nothing worse than being an employer and having to bring a family member in sick. Michelle was kind and fast. She did everything possible to make me and my family member comfortable. She was professional at all times and showed exemplary skills. And so Michelle was the nomination for the month of January. And I don't think we have the photo posted yet. Yeah. And so when you walk out, you can look at the photo of Michelle, but she's been doing a great job here as well. So I just want to just tell you that she's not here because she worked 7 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock a.m., and she's tired. So I told her we'll give her a
Courtney, what you have to say about it?
uh,
Okay, let's let the work with her every day.
Yeah, Michelle's a great nurse. She's a local girl, been here, lived here, raised here. She's one of our new full-times that we were able to convert to full-time with the new pay increase for the RN, so very thankful. She's a very strong nurse when she works in the emergency department, which is her primary department, does a good job, and it's also always great to have people that know the local community that come in. So, very strong nurse, thankful to have her. Yeah.
Next item is the Dr. Conrad medical staff report.
Good morning. I'm going to back up one and say Michelle is outstanding. She is a fantastic addition to this staff.
Coming from you, that's really good.
I mean, 5 stars.
That's great to hear that.
Yeah, outstanding. Medical staff, y'all are all aware now that we'll be losing Dr. Sanala from active practice from the community. And we were all first on a personal and professional note, over the years, including when I was moonlighting here over 20 years ago, he was always a great resource, great backup, great colleague, and he's helped a lot of people in the community, friends, family, and I have a lot of gratitude for him. And sorry to see him go, but thankful for the time he was here. Interim-wise, we will make sure, Mr. Walker can speak to this, we'll make sure that it is consistent with our bylaws, but I think he's going to need me to be chief of medical staff for the time being, which is fine, so long as that's all legal with the bylaws or whatever we need to do with that. Of course, we've lost Dr. Newton, and interim clinic-wise, I'm helping with that until they get someone in. Nothing else to say on that. On the ED side, I don't have any new comment. Everybody's cranking along. We're doing fine. The ongoing difficulty with nursing staffs, we put in as many as we can appropriately put in. Give me more nurses and I'll put in more patients. And so will the rest of the docs. And Mr. Walker and Courtney are working on that. It's just where we are right now.
Thank you. Been here, 20 years?
More than that, closer to 30, I'll bet.
Big loss for the community, so, I would think though that we probably have some folks coming to us from Dr. Small.
Yes, we will. Susie is not here, but I was gonna give an update on her for the clinics, but we are trying to, accommodate many of his patients as we can.
I think that's a good idea, that people live in the community and they're all of a sudden one day out of a job and they come right over and I'm sure they highly skilled. So that's real good. Okay, moving over, clinical services.
Good morning again. I'll make it kind of brief. I just want to update everybody on a few things. We did have our first hospice patient in the hospital room 105 that we've redone with Big Ben Hospice. Family was very grateful, so thankful for our care that they've even asked one of our nursing staff to speak at the funeral. So I think that's a great representation of Weems and the hospice room here at Weems. So great benefit for that patient and the whole entire family, the length of stay she was here. We will continue. I'm still working on the hospice room. I have a few things. I'm working with Big Ben Hospice to get a little more, a different piece of furniture in there, some updates. So it's not quite there yet, but I'm working with Michael at Big Ben, and we're going to keep moving forward with that. Swing bed, we have hired Dan Paulson officially as our swing bed coordinator. He is working probably 2/3 of the time in that position solely, and I'm going to continue to have him there. The goal for him is 5 days a week in just that position, but with the nursing staff, and I'm having to pull him for some shifts as needed on the schedule. He's doing a great job. He has already been to the local school, the local nursing home, hospice, all over the community already in the little bit of time that he's had in that position. So I'm very thankful, and he's going to be a great resource for our hospital, our community, and the people. So thankful for that. We're going to continue to move forward on that. And then we have some more education coming for the nurses. We have the BLS, ACLS, and PALS class, and then also a telemetry EKG course coming as well in the next 6 weeks. So we'll continue to do the goal of education quarterly for the staff, and we offer that first initial 3 will be offered to all the staff. So working forward to keep moving, educating the staff of our hospital, the better for the patients. So.
And I just want to interject with the hospice room. My goal and our goal really is to increase that, more rooms. It played a pivotal role, with the patient that just was in there, and even people in the communities thanking us, even the clinics, the job that we've done with that patient. But we want to be here for our patients. We don't want them to drive to Tallahassee or Panama City, just for hospice care. Both Courtney and I, we're on the Big Ben Hospice Advisory Committee for Franklin County. So we will continue to play an active role in that. We really want to increase that because it do provide a great service to the community.
Any questions for me?
Yeah, comment on the mammography.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know
Sorry.
Mr. Walker's going to speak about that, so I'll just say a few things if you want.
I'll go ahead. This is on my report. The mammography room, in partnership with Franklin Needs, they will be hosting a ribbon cutting on January 31st at 9:30. With the athletical Chamber of Commerce. So the Chamber will come out here. They'll do like a symbolic ribbon cutting for us. That's Franklin Needs. And then on February 27th at 3 p.m., we will have an open house for the mammography program. And so the mammography program is moving along. Of course, we're not moving as fast as we would like to because we just started. But we are seeing patients. We were very, very excited about the partnership with Franklin Needs. Matter of fact, in the month of February, we want to do some kind of promotion with them because they offer a whole lot of services to the community that we want individuals really to know about.
Okay. I think that's going to be if people find out about it, I think it's going to be a very viable program.
I think so as well. And right now, Nancy and Dot are here 1 day a week, but we plan to very soon increase that to 2 days a week for the people of the community. Yeah. So we just want to make sure everything's going smoothly prior to that.
Thank you.
There we go. We have the tech support for that, because I know we have one person that was trained on it, so, and she's working 1 day a week, and I know she's coming down from somewhere, Tallahassee or Crawfordville or wherever, but do we have a backup trained on that, or are we gonna get one?
Yes, so that's Nancy. She lives in Tallahassee. She's our primary mammographer. And then Dorothy Sather, who works in radiology for our department, who is, if you remember in the beginning, was going to be the lead for the department. She didn't really want the lead role, but didn't mind doing the memos. She's been trained in the last 3 weeks. We've um, got her here one day a week training with Nancy. So then we'll have two. So they're both here on the memo days, and we'll increase that with both of them.
We had a soft opening when we opened it up. Now this is gonna be our hard opening, right? Is that what they call it now?
Yes.
I would just like to say that that was the least uncomfortable mammography that I have ever experienced. It was very, actually pleasant.
Great. We've heard great things about the machine, and we're thankful. And GE even sent someone out, a representative, and they were here 2 days this week doing some additional training. So it's been great working with GE and their equipment. So, good.
The East West Clinics report, Susie?
Yeah, Susan's at the front desk. She's not here.
Okay. Anything, okay. Are you gonna cover a little bit of that?
Yeah. I'll just tell you right now, they're, trying to accommodate as many patients from Dr. Sonata's office as possible right now. And her staff, she should be filling out her staff pretty soon. So she should be fully staffed within the next month, for the clinic.
Well, while we're on that, David, we did get word that Dr. Conrad has been approved by CHP.
Yes, we did get word that Dr. Conrad has been approved by Capital Health Plan. So we're grateful for that. And that approval goes back to November 2023.
Okay, good. That was a little bit quicker than a lot of people.
Yeah, usually it takes about 6 months. That's what I'm told from Heather and Susie.
Anybody? Okay, the EMS.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? As everybody knows, I put in my resignation a couple months ago. I have about 3.5 weeks left before I depart. In spirit of that, I need to ask the board to approve a substantial purchase of.
Louis, what do you got, moving expenses, what is it?
We need new stations, yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, we did officially hire my replacement, the new EMS director, Randall Waltman. He's going to come up and say something in a minute. Randall's been in EMS and fire for about 15 years. He's been in EMS here in Franklin since 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been a captain here with us since 2019. So he came here as a captain when I took the EMS director spot. He was here and instrumental in bringing EMS to where it is today. He was also instrumental in the community paramedic program that we started. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience. And in a lot of ways, I think he is the best choice to take EMS here in Franklin to the next level. So with that, I want to thank the board for all your support over the years. I want to thank David and Weems and Alliant. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you guys trusting me and giving us approval to do some of the crazy stuff we've done. So I just want to thank all of you and invite Randall up here to say hello and let you guys ask questions.
Louis, when did you start? Was that 5 years ago?
As EMS director, yes. I first started here in 2009, and then I left for a year or two.
When did you become director?
2019 in January. So
during that time, for anybody who was newer to this, or just to refresh everybody's mind, we had a lot of disruptions and a little bit of a shambles following Hurricane Michael. There were personnel turnovers, there were other controversies. Louis stepped in, stabilized everything, made our EMS game far better, as far as I'm concerned, than it was before. And for 5 years, either he was actually at work or he was a phone call away anytime we had a problem at ER or wherever else. We all owe him a huge debt for the work he's done.
So we need a standing
We run the ER out.
Yeah.
We actually were going
Yeah.
quick. And that was
Definitely a lot of lessons learned, and it changed our policies moving forward, where we have better policies for situations like that in the future. But thank all of you for everything, and I'll turn you over to Randall. And remember, I'm always a phone call away if you ever need anything. So.
Well, hey guys. Can't really follow up too much on that. He pretty much, oh yeah, I do have, first on the agenda is to ask for some more money. Go ahead and get that out of the way. But I do have some big shoes to fill. Louis has been very instrumental and taught me a wealth of knowledge to move forward, and still today and tomorrow he will be a mentor to me. My goal is to continue what he's built and add to it for the best of Franklin County and the citizens that, you know, we're here for, as well as the tourism. And with that being said, you know, I'm going to lead by example and keep pushing forward. And, you know, like Louis said, I've been in EMS for 15 years with fire and EMS, down here for 10 and full-time for 5. May not be a local as far as living here, but I grew up here. You know, Waukulla's just right across the river, and spend many days on the waters out here. So it is, Franklin County is dear to me, as just as Waukulla is. So I hope to continue that, you know, and push forward. So.
And let me just, you know, I've often said this to Randall and Louis. You know, Louis was our Michael Jordan.
Okay.
But Randall is going to be my LeBron.
All right, yeah, all right.
So those big shoes to fill, Randall.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But thank you. Go ahead, Louis.
I think it's wonderful that we have I'd say a homegrown talent coming in to replace Louis. And I think we're progressing when you can do that.
That's right.
We feel real confident. And I want to put part of this on Randall and part of it on Louis too. I think Louis planned for this day, if it happened. And sometimes when you're in a leadership position, it's hard to share your knowledge.
That's right.
You don't want to get knocked off by somebody, and there wasn't none of that. So, and Randall, you took the warrants and ran with them. So that's wonderful that we are now progressing to a homegrown talent that can possibly relate to more folks around here and say, look, be in EMS here, you can progress here or somewhere else, whatever. So thank y'all very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The last thing is, if you notice his boots, he's going to give David Walker a run for his money on nice shoes. And everybody needs to remember that Michael Jordan is still the GOAT. So.
Yeah, and the next thing Louis will bring Randall to a county commission meeting as well.
Okay.
You know, and introduce them there before he leaves.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
All right, I didn't miss anything here, EMS. The 2023 press gang survey was more. All right.
Paula, can you talk up a little bit? We can't hardly hear you. We're up though.
Here yet?
Hold on, Paula.
No, not yet.
I'm gonna call you on your cell phone, Paula, and that way we can get you in front of a mic or something.
Yeah, Paula, we're gonna call you on your cell phone.
Why don't we, we'll take a quick break here to get her going during the break, for sure.
Okay.
You wanna do that, Tom?
Yeah,
that works. Paula, that all right with you? Well, anyway, so let's move on, and then we'll, during the break, we can make sure she's up and going. Is that okay with y'all?
Yes.
Okay, the plant ops report, Mr. Gibson.
Good morning, board. Hadn't seen y'all in so long. Yeah. Just to give y'all a little update what we've got going on. We have we've got some grant money to replace these metal exterior doors, all 4 of them. It came through the rural hospital capital improvement that we applied for. So no money out of the coffers. It's all money coming from them. And it's about 8. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I knew you would like that. Yes, sir. They are, and just hanging. But we're about 8 to 10 weeks. Go ahead.
I was just going to add to that, and David and I had a call with Florida Hospital Association yesterday, and what we could use y'all's help with is that the Senate has approved making this a recurring fund, because when it was set up in 2023, it was a one-time $10 million for all the rural hospitals in the state of Florida. And this year, the Senate is proposing to make it a $10 million reoccurring, so every year it would come to our hospitals. Now, the House version is still $10 million one-time thing, so if you have an opportunity to talk with your legislators, please ask them to continue this, because, you know, looking at the number of needs rural hospitals in the state of Florida have for capital investment, this has been a tremendous benefit to those hospitals. There's 23 rural hospitals in the state of Florida, and so that means this year every hospital got roughly $520,000 to go towards capital improvements. And so I'm soliciting your support in trying to get our legislators to make this a recurring part of the state budget.
Let me just say something. Senator Simon, he proposed a $10 million recurring funding, but the Florida House of Representatives. And so the Florida House, I just saw an email last night that they will put in $7 million of non-recurring. So that's our representative is Representative Jason Schoaf. Now, when we met with Jason Schoaf last week, you know, he's all for this particular program here as well. So I think if you hear more from more people in the community, you know, he can champion that as well. But he was a champion last week when we met with him. He said that we need to probably put more in there for the program.
What if, just an idea here, what if we draft up an email to the board would agree, thanking them for what they've done, and also stressing the importance and strongly wanting to be reoccurring fund. Some of the dollars that we might get, I think, TMA, the big hospital, it would just be a little, you wouldn't see the water go up in it. But with us, any funds we get like that would be totally necessary. And I think that would be a good thing if we could draft something up. If the board would agree, if we want a motion for it, to do something like that, the board members review it individually, and then get it back, try to turn it around. But they're in session right now. Could I get a motion on that?
Sure, I'll give you a motion on that to write a letter to incentivize the funds distribution for rural hospitals, absolutely.
Now, would it go out as to all the House and Senate or local, or how?
Well,
wait, let's get this here first.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Now let's discuss it.
Yeah, I think a letter can go to our representative, which is Representative Jason Schoaf. You know, he's a real proponent, you know, for this. Thank him because
anything we can help.
Yeah, he's the one supporting this bill. So
Senator Simon too, for what he's doing.
Yeah. We'll word it up for you to take a look at. But both of them have been champions of rural hospitals. Their district have all the rural hospitals, most of them.
Just, I don't know, David or Michael, Do we have to put in requests for the funding and show them, like, put in a grant for it type of thing, and here's what we need, and then they distribute the funds that way? It's not just like they're handing us $500,000.
No, and, you know, and you have to go through the whole process, and it's administered through the Department of Health. And, you know, you have to apply for it. You have to submit what you plan to use the money for, and then you have to follow up with documentation that the money was spent for those items that you said that it was going to be spent for. It cannot be used for operations. Cannot be used for anything but capital improvements to your physical plant.
Greg, how was the process when you went through it for the doors? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward?
Yeah, that's it.
It was very simple and straightforward, and that's what we told the legislatures as well, that it was very easy for us to apply for the money.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Berry has.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question. This is non-recurring as far as there's no assurances every year. Okay? And so therefore you have to plan this acquisition of some capital asset far in advance to know where you're going. Bottom line is that they can not fund it and you will be hanging out there because it's non-recurring. What does this have to do with, you know, people want to give you money, but there's got to be some strings someplace involved in this. What is this got to do with rural health, I guess?
Yeah, hospitals. What happened?
Hospitals versus the critical care hospital. Anything at all?
No. This program has been in the statute for years for rural hospitals.
But never funded.
But never funded.
Right.
And so last year we got
I
it funded.
understand.
So now we're trying to get it reoccurring, you know, that we don't have to ask every year for it.
But it will not be used for something that if we need it so bad that we're just left out hanging out there because of the fact no money came this year, right?
Well, that's not it.
You wouldn't plan, I think you got a ready list of what qualifies property that we really need, but it's just like windows in your house. You don't have to replace them ever so often, but there comes a point where you need to, you know?
Yeah, actually, we are, I think Tracy Busby, and we've been working with her. There is a grant out there to replace all these windows. We've not heard anything lately. We also have the generator for here and the clinic in Carabel. I think it's been approved, if I'm not mistaken. We're just waiting for them to sign that check and assign it to a contractor. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I know. Yeah, really.
Hold your tongue out and all that stuff like that. That's good.
No. So it's moving. It's a slow process, unfortunately. But yes, I get quotes for the things that we're going to need. I think we're doing 5 years out now, outlay. So that's what we're working on. I'm working on this year, next year, and 2 more years out. Yep.
Well, and also part of this process, you know, all the rural hospitals, again, 23 of them, have submitted all their capital needs. And, you know, I can just look at the Alliant hospitals, you know, the amount that we submitted is what we project as capital needs far exceed the $500,000 that we're receiving from the state. So FHA has taken that data to support the need for this reoccurring funds, because some hospitals need chillers, some need boilers, some need, you know, whatever, renovation of patient rooms, all those types of things that you need for your organization. They're working, but they need replaced because eventually they're going to break down.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that leads right into the next item that we're working on.
I have one more question. So what happens if you, in other words, you're going to be capped on the amount that you can spend for a specific asset so that you can acquire that asset in that fiscal year, because there's no guarantee that the following year, you're gonna have that money available. So the purchases are basically limited by the 500 or whatever amount is funded per year. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, but, you know, if you're, and I'm gonna use Calhoun Liberty Hospital, for example, you know, part of their request was because they're building a new hospital. That hospital will do a lot more than their $500,000 that they're gonna do, but they're gonna use that money towards some of their funding for that hospital, but it has to be spent in that fiscal year. So if they got the 500,000, to use your example, they got the 500,000, they can put it towards an invoice on the building of that hospital, but we all know it's going to be a lot more than that also. Did I answer your question there?
I believe so, but you have to have, what I guess the point I'm trying to make is that you are really capped. You can't go out and buy something or sign a contract for something that you got to depend on next year's funding, and you don't know for certain that next year's funding is going to be there.
Exactly.
So if you go out there and you get a partial amount of money, of being 500,000, it's not very much. Okay, you get a partial amount of money, then all of a sudden you're left out there hanging. Where are you going to go get the money to finish that contract?
Right.
And where's the second? The second thing is, how long after the fiscal year ends do you have to roll that money over and get it spent? I mean, does it die at the end of the fiscal year, or can you carry forward like a lot of agencies do, and carry forward for another 6 months?
What I understand of it right now is the monies have to be spent in that fiscal year. So, you know, there's not that I've seen, there may be some carryover if you're in the midst of the project and if you have purchase orders already in place for that, that it may carry over a little bit beyond that. But, you know, as it stands right now, the money has to be spent in that fiscal year, the state fiscal year that you've received it. So for example, this year, we didn't get the money or allocations to December or January. You could request an early where they would give you, I believe, 80% of the funds up front, but you have to have it spent by the end of June to be able to get the full amount.
Let me just ask it one other way. Is there a certification process available that allows you to roll that money out 6 months more?
Not that I know of right now.
Okay, because you're usually not going to get that capital asset in that period of time, and you're going to get hung out. There should be a rollover period, and I would think that somebody needs to check on it.
Yeah, and what I had, you know, the Department of Financial Services, you know, being a state worker, you know, there is a certified forward that you can request.
There you go, certified forward. Can you certify forward these funds?
Yeah. So that'll be some information we'll speak about as well. But yeah, because they realize that some of the capital outlay projects may not be done within that time period. You know, but the state has a certified forward.
And it's still last year's funds that we're going to use to pay for what we haven't gotten.
Yeah, and usually when you do the certified forward, now it's been a while, like while I work with the state, but usually around May, April, you know, you put in paperwork, you know, say you need these funds to be certified forward, and that gives us state time to go through the process because fiscal year ends June 30th. But we'll check in all of that.
You answered the question.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Y'all will get something to us, we can all take a look at it, and we'll comment on it. I think it can be short, we can do, just appreciate what you've done. They need to know, those folks like to know appreciation, you know, and we do appreciate it. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay. Other items that we're working on, we're getting quotes in. We're going to start replacing the toilets throughout the facility to make them ADA compliant, higher for the patients. We're also going to start putting the new flooring down in the patient rooms. We're going to go to a solid vinyl floor and get rid of this VCT, and that's going to cut cost on floor care because you don't have to strip it and wax it and, you know, all that. On another note, I have these signs that will be going up at all the facilities to notify everyone that you are being videotaped while you're on this campus. And hopefully, I mean, we hadn't had a whole lot, you know, of disruption, but maybe this will defer any that might happen. Yep, absolutely. I am also currently getting some quotes on cleaning this roof up here. It's gotten really nasty. So we've got to get that cleaned up before it starts deteriorating, that liner up there. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot more going on, but I'm going to fill you up. I think that's enough right now. But I'll have another report for you next time. Oh, one more thing. In March, I'm going to send this out to the department managers. We're going to be doing a virtual chemical tabletop exercise. This will help us comply with our scent book, ACA, that we have to do several different exercises throughout the year. So, okay.
Yes, exactly. So one of the things also, you know, Craig has been short-staffed, and I just want to give kudos to Craig doing a lot of different things, but he's doing a great job, and we're looking forward to, you know, the mock exercise we'll be doing.
All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Oh, we got Paul Moore here.
Hey, Paula, hold on. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Paula.
Okay, good morning. Is that better? Can everybody hear me now?
Yeah, a little better.
Yeah, a little better.
All right, well, happy New Year, everybody.
Hey, that's good. Go ahead, Ms. Moore.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, Mr. Walker had asked me to present to you an overview of the employee engagement survey that was administered by Press Ganey. We'll go to slide number 2. These are just some information about the dates of the survey. It was administered in July, and the respondents were 36%. So we had 38 employees that had completed the survey. Let's go to the next slide. This is the engagement indicator. So Press Ganey has a methodology where they use these 6 items that are listed on the right-hand side to show the engagement of the staff. So it looks at the pride in the organization, their intent to stay, their willingness to recommend, and their overall workplace satisfaction. So in 2023, the indicator was 3.83, which is 18 points below the national average of all facilities. And in comparison to the 2021 score of 3.87. So on the right-hand side, the axis is the national average. So you can see in the 6 composites, the difference between the national average and the response scores at Weems. Let's go to the next slide. This slide shows the strengths in comparison to national benchmarks. If you look at them as what the common theme is here, it's the employees' support and positive responses about the employees that they work with, so their peers and their work group and the person they report to, their manager. I'll give you a minute just to read through those.
Excuse me, when do you take questions? After your presentation?
Tom, can Can you repeat that question? I couldn't understand him.
When will you take questions?
Oh, anytime. If you have a question, go ahead.
Why is the first item on that engagement indicator different shade? Says, I would like to be working at this organization 3 years.
Paula, did you hear that?
No, repeat.
Okay. The question is why is the first indicator a different color on the graph next to it?
Oh, that's showing the difference from the national average. So it's less than 10 points, where the next one is greater than, so it's 14 points. So it's just the difference from the national average. It gets more red as it gets farther away from the national average. It'll decline.
So the shade of red itself determines how severe the issue is, or some degree of severity?
Yes, yes, it shows, if it's X percent away. So the red is if it's like 20% less than the national average. So it does go by severity, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go to the slide on concerns. So these are the top 10 concerns that would be scored against the benchmark of the national average. In general, theme here is, well, pay and benefits, which is very typical for all of our hospitals. That's the top two, is pay and benefits. But if you look at the rest of it, it's really organization focused. So we saw the strengths were the department, the employees, the peers, where the concerns are overarching of the organization.
I have another question. On the first page, you had 503 work groups. What is a work group?
The 503 is representative of all of Alliant facilities. I have access to the whole, it pulls up all of our facilities, and so that work group has nothing to do with Weems. It's just, we have 503 work groups, would be a department.
So they're not weighted in, their responses are not weighted into the Weems.
You're correct, they are not weighted in.
Can I ask a question about how many questions were on your survey?
Oh my gosh. There's roughly 100 questions.
Maybe that's why you only got a 36% rate of return on
it. You're saying that just because of the time that it takes to complete the survey?
Yes, absolutely. People are not going to sit there and go page after page after page if it's going to take that long.
It actually only takes about 8 minutes, 10 minutes to take. But that is always a concern with these. And when we start planning the survey, we keep it to just the core questions that need to be asked. There are opportunities for us to add many, many different questions, but we choose not to do that for that reason. Is we want to keep it as brief as possible so that people will take the survey.
Also another question, are employees confident that it's a truly anonymous questionnaire?
It truly is. It's confidential. We do not get any of the individual results. Everything goes directly to Prescaney, and there aren't identifiers that we can see as far as the organizations that we would know who completed that survey.
But Bill, to your comment, that's one of the challenges we face all the time is employees feeling like, oh, if I say something on this, it's going to come back. And even as many times as we, express that we don't get to see what the individual employee puts, or we don't have any feedback from individual surveys, it's still a challenge to convince them that that is, because employees are concerned, well, if I'm, and I think at times it does affect the response rate, because they're saying, well, if I answer this, somebody's going to find out what I said. Well, as Paula mentioned, we have no way of finding out who said what on the surveys, but employees being skeptical, we always battle that component of it.
And also, some of the survey, and Jen is on the line here also. The survey, you have a writing component. So usually, some employees don't care. They write certain things, ask you what you feel about that. They write it, and you kind of know that it's them, because they put their information in it. But that's just that part of it.
On page, on the engagement indicator, on that page, it doesn't have a page number on it, but it said that previous year was 3.87 when this survey was administered. Are the questions the same between the 2 years of the survey?
Yes, they are. They're the exact same questions.
What do y'all attribute to the drop, even though it's minute, in the performance from the of 2021?
Well, that is part of the next steps of this, is really getting that from the employees, because right now what we see is their perceptions and their answers, but what we need to do next is to meet with the individual groups of the departments and gain their feedback as to what their perceptions are and what improvements they would like to see for those areas that they feel that are lower scoring. I will say that the trend for all hospitals, when I look at all of our hospitals and out there, is that the scores did decline from 2021 to 2023. Could it be some of the post-COVID still? I'm not sure. So that's, really that's got to come from the staff there as to why they answered how they answered, right? And what we could do as an organization to make improvements.
Well, there is a follow-up on this. We're not just putting the survey out, and we're going to look at all the individual staff. Generally speaking, in all hospitals, morale is not the highest it's ever been since the COVID thing. I don't know why I'm thinking that back, but also only 38 people responded out of how many staff we got?
116. Yeah, 116 at that time, and doing the survey, we had a lot of things going on with the hospital. We had just came out of the COVID detox stuff that happened, and then hospital staff. The hospital really been a revolving door, for administration. What would be around. Is the hospital going to be stable here in this community? Here. So there's a lot of different factors, that go on with that. Initially we did share the results with the directors and the managers, and the next step now is to drill it down, to the workers. I believe the staff that we have here, they don't mind about telling me anything, because they come and tell me anyway, good or bad. So we'll drill down here with our staff, just get their feedback.
That's the main thing, is if you've got areas we need to, all areas to be improved. You've got to have an action plan in place, but where you can identify where we might be deficient.
Yeah, because one of the things here, it was about salary and benefits. As soon as the survey was taken, we did the increase of wage increase. And I had a staff stop me in the hallway and say, I guess you all really listened to the survey. Really. And it wasn't a manager. It was a regular staff. Because we did something about that question. And the benefits part of it is that if you're single on the family health plan, it's real good for us, here. But if you're married and have a family, that cost is so high. And we had an opportunity one time, to address it, either you go to a single insurance carrier plan, like a CHP only, because right now we got a Blue Cross and CHP blended model. If you do a single plan, the costs go down, but then we have employees that utilize both Florida Blue and CHP, and we've had conversations about that. So I just wanted to.
That's the way insurance works, everywhere I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Family plan just keeps,
Yeah, so the benefit part of it, that's that benefit part. And then we offer retirement. That's one of the things that we got from the initial survey. Jenny had brought that to me. She's been on board about retirement. So we did do that for the staff here because they had no retirement here. We finally did that. So we'll look at these and begin to develop different strategies, but we've already begun to do certain things already to address, some.
Who has to develop the action plan? And do we get to see that action plan?
Yes, you will get to see it. We'll develop it with the managers, staff, and then we'll bring it to the board, to look at this.
More, you got anything else? No. Oh.
No, is there any further questions for me?
No, nothing else really. I just think it's been very thorough. I hate to say it, I don't understand this like probably I should, but I understand it better. I'm gonna have to digest a little bit.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I tell you, I could sit here and say backwards and forwards, but you won't do us any good unless we all understand what's in these numbers.
I'm gonna try to look at it here. I think it's complicated to look at if you don't know much about it, but the main thing that I want to, we can pick out anything on this if we want to in a second. But the main thing is if we got some areas we can address, maybe it's informing staff better, make them feel like we're part of the team. I don't know what it might be, but that's the goal of expertise. But it gives us a good starting point to see what we need to work on. And I know the more you involve people, the happier they are with the decision-making process. Although the buck stops at a certain point. So I do think that's a good starting point. Anybody got anything else?
I have a statement. I think surveys are fine in their place. However, let me just say this. 2 employees approached me here lately, not as a board member, but as a person in the community, and at different times, and said that they love working here. That was the bottom line. One person that works, say part-time, I'm not sure. But anyway, she says that our CEO, well actually what she said, Pastor Dave is the best CEO that we've had at this hospital since, anybody remember Dallas Shiver? No? Well, he was the CEO at this hospital. I've been around long enough to remember him. Then another person employed at this hospital says that this hospital has improved 100-fold over the last 3 or 4 years. So my bottom line is surveys don't necessarily show the whole picture. Some people have hang-ups about surveys. When I was in school and in college, I could know the material. And when you said that ugly 4-letter word, test, and I sat down, it was like I never was taught. So some people have, negative indentations about surveys. I'm done.
I totally agree, but we do have some areas that we need to address. What it is.
Oh, yeah.
Need to keep working on it.
I agree.
Working on it.
We are working on it.
Keep working
So
on
that's a
it.
positive.
Well, if I may add, you know, the key to the surveys is the employees have to know that you're following up on it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
it.
that
That's
is,
it.
that is the key to making this successful is, because if they feel like, oh, I'm gonna fill out this survey and nothing's gonna happen to it, then why fill it out?
That's right.
And so our job, no matter what the results, positive or negative, were, is to make sure we follow up and communicate to the employees that we've listened, we've heard, and this is what we're going to do to respond. Sometimes it may not be what they want, but at least they know that their voice was heard and we're at least addressing, you know, their concerns.
I agree.
So let me take that back one step, Mr. Kogar. You don't know the individuals, so how do you identify the group? And how do you assure that employee that you're really taking steps to it other than your actions and your action plan?
Well, it's the action plan and it's communication. The key to being able to affect change is being able to communicate that. Now, can we always guarantee that the employee that wrote it that way is going to listen? No, you cannot. But you've got to do your best efforts to make sure, whether it's town hall meetings, whether it's newsletters that you send out, addressing what concerns were in this survey, so that at least you do everything you can. And some people may not even listen to what you say to them, but as long as we're trying every means possible to communicate and address those things with the employees, that's as much as we can do.
I got anything else?
Well, that's one. Last time, there's two issues basically this survey points out. Am I correct about that? And those two issues are the two reddest mark that's in this survey. And they are, overall, I'm a satisfied employee. That seems to be one of the two. And the other one, I would recommend this organization as a good place to work. So those are the two things that you have to focus on. Is that what this survey is telling us?
Well, you know, it's telling us that those are the areas, but if you look at the concerns, you look at the top two, my pay is fair compared to other healthcare employers in the area, and I'm satisfied with my benefits. You know what I mean? Those were the ones that technically, you know, we really have to work at, because if you're not satisfied with your pay, and you're telling us you're not going to be satisfied with anything else. And so just like when I walked down the hall, an employee, you know, found out that we were getting, you know, raises for the employees, this employee told me, I guess you all did listen to the survey. You know, and then when I walk in, and employees stop me and say, well, Mr. Walker, the single benefits for a family is good. Can't we do something about the other family plan? You know, and so these are the things that staff continually talk about. And then when you look at your top two concerns here, you know, that's what probably go into the overall impact of that big red item you mentioned earlier.
It all goes back a lot of this, and you've done a lot since this survey with the pay and benefits and stuff. The old Maslow thing, if people aren't happy with their pay, they don't feel safe.
That's right.
You can do all you can do. So we got to make that, we got to publicize that for employees. Look, you're getting paid this, it's right up there with other folks. You might not be up there, but exactly, and we got to stay competitive in that area. We got to just keep working on it all the time. It's all for money. We got to do it. You know, you're not going to make, if you don't think you're making enough money, everything in the world you can do is not going to help that. And I think we've made progress with that, but we got to keep an eye on that all the time. That's just a fact.
That's true.
That's just a fact. Anything else? Yeah. Ms. Moore? Paula? Well, I was going to tell her thank you. Tom, you're good for something. I'm glad.
Paula, they're just thanking you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. 5-minute break. back to order. The next item is our financials. Mr. Tom Ramsey, you want to take us over with it?
Yes, I would. Feel fine. I'm good. Okay, so in your packet, you should have a balance sheet and income statement in there for December. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was our cash balance. We grew from almost $1.4 million to just over $2 million in cash. About $395,000 of that is related to those state grant funds that were talked about earlier, 80%, the 80% component. So obviously there's still a 20% component to come, but we did receive those cash dollars in the month of December. So when we get over to the dashboard, we'll talk about days cash on hand and how that impacted. But on top of that, I mean, so even if you take that we'll just round it, we'll just say $400,000 away from here, we still had a very good cash month. Patient cash collections were over $1 million. So related, and you actually see that our AR dropped off as well as we collected on many accounts from insurance companies. So a lot of positive movement, rev cycle related during the month. And obviously cash is the result of that. So moving on down, really no changes in inventory. The inventory gets taken at the end of each year, and so there's we won't see any changes in these inventory numbers. We jump down into the liability section. In addition to the cash that came in, obviously we continue to run a really good accounts payable number. We're under $700,000 in accounts payable. We dropped slightly from last month. We went from $675,000 down to $648,000. We continuously are paying appropriately. We try not to pay too quickly. General rule is if it takes 60 days, we'll just use for example, if it takes 60 days to collect your cash from the insurance companies, then you shouldn't be paying your vendors until 60 days at the absolute earliest. So we don't want to pay quicker than what we receive cash in the door. Outside of that, there's not been a whole lot of changes in your assets, liabilities. It's been pretty constant. The income statements next. Yes.
Long-term pharmacy lease, that's the Carabel facility?
No, there's not. We have not done the Carabel pharmacy. That's equipment here in the hospital. If I'm not mistaken, that is is that Pyxis or is that Omnicell?
Yeah, that's Omnicell. That's the pharmacy machine here at the hospital. We have a pharmacy here.
Okay. Right. Just was wondering what that was.
Okay. Income statement. So we ended up having almost $1.2 million in gross revenues for the month of December. So far, year to date, we're at over $4.6 million in gross revenues. Bring that down to actually net revenue, what we actually collect or expect to collect. In the month of December, that was $781,000. Year to date, it's been $2.4 million for the year to date. And the year to date number for this hospital is 3 months in. So we're 3 months into the year at this point.
What I'm seeing that's very positive is that we are making more money on the inpatient side, and we're also making more money on the outpatient revenue side. So both of those are up, right?
Yeah, our volume this year is actually up. Now, I will say that the months of November and December in general, like when you look at it, it's down because just naturally those months there's not as much business rolling through the hospital, the holidays, things like that. But if you compare back to prior year during the same periods, we are up over those prior years, yes. Now, the expenses, salaries has been up, and that kind of goes back, that actually goes to a couple things. One, obviously, we did several increases in wages for the staff, significant increases. Now, that's a piece of it, but the other piece, as you mentioned, we do have inpatient business coming into this hospital, additional inpatient, swing bed patients. That means that we need more staff to take care of those patients, and so as we have more staff in the hospital, then what we pay out obviously goes up as well. So it's a two-piece component to the reason why you're seeing increases over prior year type numbers.
I just want to add about staffing levels, salaries. Also, when we do training, usually staff come in, they have to train, an extra day or two here, so that'll raise that up too.
Yeah. So every department has their own orientation type schedule depending on what your role is in the hospital. Where in nursing, you bring a nurse in, it's brand new. Obviously they have to orient, get to know the system, get to know how we do things here, and so that orientation is side by side. So when that happens, you're basically doubled up on staff at that point in time. So there is a component of additional staffing as you hire new staff. You have excess staff on top of that for a little while that has to go into play. Correct.
What this long-term pharmacy lease is?
That's the Omnicell machine. So it's a dispensing unit for pharmaceutical drugs within the hospital, to where if a physician orders certain drugs for a patient or anything like that, it is a piece of equipment. Correct.
It provides a mechanism for nursing staff to access medications for the patient without having to have a pharmacist or a pharmacy right there. So, and it limits what you can get based upon what that was ordered by the physician.
It's a lease, but I don't see that number going up. I mean, I'm not quite understanding. When you say it's a long-term pharmacy lease and it's a piece of equipment, it's the same every month, $91,000, we'll pay $1 million a year, is that what you're telling me?
The long-term component of it has not, obviously, we'll go back and take a look at that at this point, but, every year we're truing that long-term, that next 12 months up, so we technically should be making an adjustment on that on a monthly basis, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Typically, you would only see that value change couple $100 each month is probably all you'd see. It's interest related is the only reason you'd see that number change. So. Okay, back to the income statement. Employee benefits are kind of following in line with the level of staff that we have currently. One of the things that is up, if you look down through there, it's up significantly, is the dues and subscriptions. That is related to ACA payments that we were under accrued with whenever we received the bills on, and so we made sure we caught up on what we had accrued for those dollars going forward. That the ACA fees are basically related to, we have to submit so much money up to the state submits a whole lot more back down to us. So it's a matching type process. So we were quite a bit under accrued at that, and so we trued that up.
Are we looking at pharmaceutical costs? Jumped up 175.
Yeah, so that's when you're looking at the year-to-date numbers. So that was related to that one patient that we talked about before. So that was in the year-to-date number. But currently, it's in line for previous. We don't have any patients that are taking those expensive drugs right now. So, but again, that's that payment that we got for that service and everything was very, very good. That was very helpful for this hospital this year.
And also, as your volume increases, your pharmaceutical costs will increase. So if you're seeing more patients coming in through your inpatient, that's gonna drive up your pharmacy costs also.
Sure. So, go ahead, yes.
Kind of, when you mentioned this about the subscriptions, dues and subscriptions, that's been under accrued previously? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying to me?
Yes, I had it. It was under approved, yes.
Okay. And
So-
never got trued up at the end of the year, or did it get true up at the end of the year?
No,
adjusted?
this was, so basically, it's about $18,000 every quarter that we actually had to pay. So we were about 2 quarters behind. So we're looking at that. Yes. So at the end of the year, we were off by about 1 quarter. So we'll have to make that adjustment on the backside. So there'll be some adjustments that we'll do through the audit as well.
So does last year's income statement have to be adjusted accordingly or not?
It will be. It will.
Okay.
Not yet. It's not been adjusted yet. Okay. At the end of the day, well, let's go down to the non-operating revenue, because you can see it's $410,000. Of that, almost $400,000 of it was related to those additional grant funds that came in. So, the bottom line is that with those grant funds, we are at a positive $415,000 for the month. Without the grant money, we would have been approximately $20,000 positive for the month. So year to date, we're at $481. Again, take the grant funds out, we would have been about $85,000, $86,000 positive year to date at this point. Any questions on those?
Yes, please. Am I wrong to feel like that this is a roller coaster on some of these numbers, that we're finding more currently we're finding errors that should have been taking place previously? Not faulting anybody, but understanding, are we finding financial adjustments that should have been made previously that affected the numbers we had previously, and they're all being brought forward or trued up?
In some instances, but I wouldn't necessarily use the word roller coaster, because we're talking about insignificant, immaterial. Thank you. That's the number that's the word I was looking for. Immaterial adjustments that we're making, and to be quite honest, I mean, as you know from your past, I mean that typically does happen on just about anybody and everybody's business, regardless of healthcare or what it may be. So yeah, these are immaterial adjustments for the most part that we're making adjustments for, and we're trying to make sure that it's as accurate every single month as it possibly can be. Versus, I think years ago, I believe, you would see hundreds of thousands of dollar swings in the financials before we got here, and when we first saw the numbers when we first got here. So yes, but we're still tweaking, and we always will be.
You created your own monster by getting it closer and getting it right. Right? I mean, the more you do it, and you can see what cosmetically is not there, okay, and you do come behind it and put it in. Now you've created questions for yourself, but at the same process, it makes a person like myself have to say, okay, do I need to go back and reevaluate, look at what those numbers were previously?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Okay, jumping over to the board dashboard. So we've talked about some of these things, such as the net revenue that's on here, $781,000, and the net income of $414,000. I know, Ms. Kristen, you have the graphs in there as well for all of these items, so that you can look at those as well. So we talked about that. We mentioned the patient cash collections a little bit. Again, that was almost $1.1 million. That's a big deal. That's a large number for patient cash collections. So a lot of that really has to do with the swing bed growth that we've been seeing. And so because those patients stay in the hospital, longer in our rates that we are getting paid on those patients, it can have a huge impact in any one month. Vice versa, we may see a month that, drops off because we're waiting for a very large payment to come in. But we did very good in the month of December for cash collections. Total cash was at 1.7, and of course, close to 400 of that total cash was related to those grant funds. Days cash on hand are at 63.6, and if you pull that additional 400,000 out, it would drop by about 12 and a half days. So we would still be at just over 50, about 51 days cash on hand without the 400,000. Yes. So.
See that to get about 75 or 80. I know you won't like it, but I mean,
about 125.
But
50
days is as much as I've seen without all the
COVID funds and things like that, yeah. So, realistically, I mean, yes, I'd like to be able to get it up, 90 to 120 days in those ranges, on a consistent basis, where it's not dropping and things like that. And, obviously we want it to grow as high as we possibly can, but, because that's what we utilize to help, bring in additional services and things like that. But we will see ebb and flows, as if we continue to hold steady at this level, at some point we need to just make the decision on the retail pharmacy in Carabel. The only reason we haven't moved forward with that yet was because I wanted to be sure that we could, because we have to finance that out of operations. I didn't want to take a chance of running up short on cash for anything else. So that's the only reason that's been delayed.
How much?
100.
100?
that'd be good.
What's the industry standard?
Probably access hospitals. Well, here it's been 2 days, but I think maybe right around 30 to 50 days.
Are we guessing, or is that really the industry standard as far as number of cash?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's guessing. When we did the Flex program, they'll do a snapshot of critical access hospitals, days of cash on hand. The average usually I've seen around 50-day mark.
So what do y'all feel is comfortable with?
90 to 120.
90 to 120.
That's what I feel comfortable at, but I can't sit here and tell you that that's the industry standard, because I'll be honest with you, I'm off the top of my head, I don't know what that number is.
You got to remember, there's a lot of rural hospitals closed up, and that was cash on hand.
Yeah, correct.
That was part of
Right,
it.
they can't be prepared.
Well, and since COVID, I think there's been a recalculation of those days because hospitals got such an influx in cash. It elevated their days cash on hand. Now we're seeing a more normalization of where it's at. So those numbers are going to change a little bit, but just based upon past experience, you're seeing in that, I would say 40 to 60 day range is probably what the average rural hospital's target is.
You had one patient that you had pretty heavy billings on, if I'm not mistaken, drugs and so forth.
Correct.
Is that what drives a lot of this cash, patient cash collections up?
I would not say that that million, a piece of that 1,000,001, maybe a small piece, but the majority of those funds were received a little sooner. So back in November, we did receive some of those funds, but yeah, there's a large component of that as well that's coming into December. Yes. So, like I said, one patient can have a huge impact for this hospital.
That's right.
And so every one patient we get in the door here, whether it's a swing bed or what it may be, is extremely important to our hospital and our community.
Tom, I got another question here. The chronic care management program.
Yes.
I see we went from 6 November to 21 in December. Now we just got that up started good, right? The chronic care.
Well, we did. You can see there was nothing in October. It hadn't started, right? So this is the start of it. We're currently at 40 as of today.
How many?
40 as of today.
Really improved. I mean, that's really, really good.
And it's a good service to the community, the members of the community here. You know, this is something that's really intended to look out for the health of our community members. So it's a big deal. It's a real positive. So we do. We absolutely do. Yes.
We want to tag it, tag that as a success right now. It's growing like that. There's no reason why it shouldn't continue to grow or at least stay where it's at, guys.
Yeah, it should continue to grow, and you know, obviously, you know, we're going to continue to monitor it to make sure that we maximize the program as best we can. Not, you know, obviously not just for us, but for the community as well. So, okay, so jumping on down here to the operating indicators, these are the volumes that we kind of throw out here for y'all to see kind of how we're doing. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, obviously, you know, we have dropped off in the months of November and December in a lot of these indicators, but that's related to holidays and people not necessarily, you know, clinic visits, for example, you know, who typically wants to schedule their visits to go see the doctor in the month of November or December when their family's in town and things like that. So, you know, we do see that drop off typically. We'll start to see those pick up as we move into future months.
Mr. Walker, by the county commission to present a pro forma on the Carabel Pharmacy?
Yes, they did. Presented it with Chad Downing. You know, that's been, you know, probably a year ago.
A year ago. That was presented to the county.
Do we have a copy of that?
We do.
I guess in our books or?
We do.
I can get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then the key projects, you know, so the Carabel Pharmacy, obviously, you know, it's yellow because, you know, we've kind of put that on hold until we feel comfortable about the cash. It is a project that would definitely pay for itself. There's, if I remember the numbers accurately, I believe we were expecting to make about $200,000 a year on providing that service up to Carabel. You know, but again, it's going to cost, you know, a few $100,000 to construct it, get the equipment in there, the initial purchase of drugs and things like that to be able to stock it. So, you know, all those things, and then the ramp-up period of getting it up and going. Those are all factors in the cash flowing of it. So, correct, yes. I'm sorry, I missed the last component.
It comes out of the operational side of the hospital tax?
It comes out of the operations of the hospital. No, I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, the operational side of the tax is cash that just goes into straight operations. So I wouldn't know that it's not like in a separate bucket or anything like that we're pulling out of those dollars.
If you fall short, you got to go to the hospital fund. On the operational side, it's still called 50-50 rule, right, on the operations side?
Yeah, so the cash is going into operating cash, so yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Patient cash collections, we go from $499 to $542, then up to $1,095,000.
Yeah. So some of those very long patients that we talked about that had very high charges, high dollar, yeah, exactly, yes.
Actually, our county subsidy went down, which is understandable during this month, during the month of December, and actually a little bit November, but we've maintained our and increased just a little bit our cash on hand. So that tells me something pretty good right there.
Yeah, no,
That's real good.
It's a big deal. You know, that's where, you know, having these additional patients are going to be very, very good to us.
I was going to ask about the back there for a second.
Yes.
Can we get any of that state funding we talked about earlier for the construction or fit up of the pharmacy? So that all that doesn't come out of operational funds.
No, let me just interject that. Those state funds are meant for hospital-based facilities. So they carry the facilities outside of the hospital. It's not on the grounds of the hospital, so that's what that money is for. Now, if it was here, we can do that. But since it's in a different satellite location, we can't do that.
All right, just wanted to throw the question out.
Yeah, which is good.
That's a good question. You know, we have looked at other mechanisms to try to get like some sort of grant funds and things like that. And you know, most of the funds, you know, that obviously none of them are going to cover the operating loss that you're going to have in the initial time period of running. And I don't believe any of them will cover any of the cost of the initial inventory purchase of the actual drugs. It would just be the equipment and the construction, and that's pretty much all that we could pull out of it. So, but yes, you know, that is something that, you know, obviously as we get closer, we're going to continue to look for whatever ways to fund it as best we can, operations or not. So, okay. The other items, the mammography. So, you know, we saw 3 patients in October, 24 in November, and 18 in December. You know, these last 2 months have been a little bit lower, but again, you know, we're here. The program's just getting up and started, and plus it was the holidays as well. And I believe, David, so far in January, you had mentioned that we had how many so far this month?
From the data I have, we have had 54 visits in January. Yeah. But I go back and double check that.
Yay.
So that's how it feels. And then I don't know, David, you may want to talk on this a little bit, but on as far as paying for, you know, let's suppose that somebody needs to have mammography and they may not have insurance. Patients that may want to have a mammography that does not necessarily have the ability to pay, or they don't have insurance or whatever, correct me if I'm wrong, David, but isn't the same group that helped us purchase the equipment to begin with willing to also help pay for some of those mammographies as well?
Yes.
Friends of the hospital.
Yeah, the Friends of Franklin Needs, so they have a program that would also subsidize, you know, the co-payments, you know, for individuals that need this particular service. And yesterday I got some information about the mammography number, though when I saw 54, I'm like, well, let's go back and double check that again. So, but I have more firm numbers at the end of this month, because 54 does look good, but we just want to make sure that they're not giving me the total from October, November, December. I just want to make sure.
Okay. Okay. So physician recruitment is the next item on that list. Obviously, we are in recruitment mode at this point. We have not recruited any physicians in. Obviously, we haven't come to you for permission to, you know, to pay for those physicians. So obviously, you know that we haven't done that. But there are, you know, mid-level providers that are interested in coming, whether it be part-time or you know, potentially full-time as well, with some of the closures of other practices that have happened in the area. But we continue to recruit on that front. The infusion services program, so, you know, the numbers in here are a combination of injections and infusions, which are standard for an infusion program. Injections typically make up the vast majority of those numbers. And in our case, the 24, the 8, and the 7, for those last 3 months, those are all injections except for 3. And those 3 infusions were actually in the month of December. We expect to see that number again as we're into the new year and everything. We'll probably see those start to grow. But I also think that it's going to take a concerted effort to push, you know, what marketing, you know, getting out to the community, letting them know that we're here for them for these services as well. I think that's going to be important too. Chronic care management, we already talked about. So anyway, that's my report. Questions? Anything?
I still, you know, we brought it up before. Every one of the little areas of the county have this thing called a social media page, okay? And I still have not seen anything on those social media pages from Weems advertising anything. We get inundated by the Department of Emergency Management, but there's nothing coming out there on Weems.
So, we have our Facebook page. Talking about the next door. You talking about the next door app.
I'm talking about the next door apps
Okay.
that about 4 or 5 of these areas have.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll go back around and make sure we're just follow back up on that. Yeah. Robin, make a note for that, Christie. Okay.
When we do that, do we list all the, I think we need to list all the services that we offer. People might not be aware of them.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Social media is where it's at now. I mean, I look at that little, try to get me a deal every now and then on something off that, what is it, the marketplace? Is that what you're talking about? And, yeah, I look at that all the time. People like me look at it. It must be old used tire or something like that. But, I think that we gotta focus on that something.
Yeah, we will.
I totally agree. And also somewhere in there is a short list of what we provide. People don't understand that we do things, fusion services. If I wasn't in this role, I wouldn't know. Would you? No, we wouldn't. And I think we need to focus on that in the social media. I mean, it's free, right? Yeah, it's free.
I mean, I did hear on Oyster Radio a advertisement for Weems Logography. So
Yes.
I know we're getting out on some other sources of advertising, but we should take advantage of whatever we can on social media.
Yeah, people, I don't know how many people listen to Oyster Radio versus on all the little other things like that. People look at that.
Big difference.
Yeah, people look at it.
We do also post to Instagram and Facebook.
We also have Instagram, post on Instagram as well.
Okay. I don't know anything about Instagram.
But yeah, Instagram is another social media platform.
That's right.
That's for younger people, younger people.
I understand that.
I have one last question. Sure. You don't want to. Go ahead. Somebody else raised their hand.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
What is this social media page?
We can't hear you. Put your mic
Oh,
down.
I'm sorry.
Make sure it's on. I don't know if it's on.
What is this social media page? Where you find that?
Okay, so Facebook and Instagram. So I think most people have a Facebook page that are parents. Let's just put it that way. Instagram is a little bit younger crowd, but of course, you know, the parents are inundating that as well these days. So the kids will be coming out with a new one at some point.
Twitter's next.
For this Luddite, would you please tell me how I find the Facebook?
If you just go.
Yeah, do you have Facebook already?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you do a search for Weems Memorial Hospital, it will pop it up, and you can click like on it and follow it.
And I think, Christine, you have liked some of our posts on Facebook. Yes. And what we'll do, we'll look at the Nextdoor app. The Nextdoor app is a different app that a lot of different people use, but a lot of people really don't know about it. And I found out about it from Mr. John Berry there, because I didn't know anything about the Nextdoor app. So we'll look into that.
It's market, is it market? There's a marketplace.
There's a, you can pay to have advertisement on there. You know, but if you, no, I'm not market, I'm talking about neighborhood. Next door.
We don't want to have to pay, do we?
Not necessarily, you can go out there, it's a public, you know, type thing.
We gotta pay a little bit, I think.
But it's just that everybody looks, just about everybody, unless they get turned off on Nextdoor in the different communities. And if you have access as an organization to be able to put information about the hospital out there, it will get absorbed quickly, as opposed to what you see on forgot closer in it. Go ahead.
And what I can do, I'll send, well, we'll make sure we jump on this week, you know, later today. But I'll make sure the board members have this app called Nextdoor app. You know, I'll send it to you. I have it on my phone.
Yeah, Marketplace too.
I do too.
I have one last financial question for you, and that is, several months ago, the county commission asked that there be a breakout of the expenses to not only the Caravel Clinic, but also they wanted to know the ED department, the emergency department, on a standalone basis. They asked for this probably 4 months ago. That has not come up yet. Have you been involved in any conversation or anything like that about putting that together?
Yeah, so they requested that from Carr, Riggs and Ingram, the county's auditors and our auditors, and I know they had been working with them. Currently today, I don't know where that stands, but I know they had conversations based on some conversations I've had with Brian Hall, who's one of their representatives. But right now, today, I don't know where that stands as we stand here.
Have they been giving them any information in the past?
I had shared information with Brian, and Brian also has our audited financial statements from previous years and everything that he's using as well. But he and I had talked about it early on. And I think he has everything he needs. I don't know honestly, I don't know where that stands today.
Anybody got anything else?
Okay, thank you.
Just follow up with, I think a few months back, one of the board members asked about how the care coordination program was going.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to kind of give you an update. And if you recall, the care coordination was created to drive patients to the swing bed program. And we started it in January of 2023. So the numbers I'm going to give you is on an annual basis from January 1st of 2023 to December 31st. The program works currently with 5 hospitals. Those being Doctors Memorial Hospital in Perry, Calhoun Liberty Hospital in Blountstown, Weems Hospital here, NFCH, and the hospital in Madison, Florida. And over the year, that program has facilitated 86 admissions to those hospitals, which is a total of 1,260 patient days. Specifically for Weems, it facilitated 9 admissions and 128 patient days. Now, you know, the average length of stay for a swing bed patient at Weems is 14 days. You know, the rate for Medicare reimbursement is $4,473 per day. So, you know, I extrapolated it out, and again, I need to clarify, not all those patient days may have been Medicare, but if those were Medicare patient days, you're looking at probably over $500,000 of revenue that was brought in to the hospital here through the care coordination position. So I did want to follow up with you on that as to what the program is doing, and again, to add to that, you know, it really started working with Tallahassee Memorial but earlier this week I had a meeting with Ascension and expanding the program to patients that may have gone to Panama City and need to be returned. And we are going to be working through that process. They were very open to working with us as TMH has. So we hope to be able to continue to expand the program. One of the other things, and I know we're seeing a very good success with chronic care management. One of our initiatives this year, and as if you know, with the chronic care management program, the company we're working with gets a percentage of the revenue that's generated from that program. What we're trying to develop is our own program, so we're not giving up 40 to 50% of the revenue to another organization. Now, it will take us a little bit longer to develop this program, but hopefully that will come into it will come into being so that it will be another avenue that we can utilize our individuals here at Weems to be able to do this program. It's going to be education, it's going to be training, it's going to be a lot of things that we would have to do in the clinics to do that. We're not there yet, but it's a goal of ours, because one of my frustrations is when I look at hospitals that are doing it on their own versus hospitals that are contracting with somebody to do that. One, again, the simplest thing is we're giving up 40 to 50% of the revenue we could be getting to the hospital. And two, that I find from the experience that I've seen, patients are more receptive to be in a program when they know that, and I'm just using this as an example, that Nurse Jones at the clinic is the one I'm working with, and when I go see my doctor, there's Miss Jones there, and not getting a call from a call center in Atlanta saying, how are you doing with your care? So, you know, again, it's a goal of ours of Inline to be able to develop this for the hospitals as we move forward. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I spoke to Duffy earlier in the month about this, we also are piloting excuse me, a project with looking at the Medicare Advantage plans, the underpayments that all hospitals it's hitting all hospitals. And this is where these Medicare Advantage plans, whether it's Humana or Cigna or one of these, are not paying us accurately. They're paying us. They're not paying us as they should. And where this affects a lot of times is with critical access hospitals, because each year when we do our cost report, a rate is set for your outpatient. I'm just using outpatient as an example here. But each year, Medicare says, okay, you're going to get 20%. We're going to pay you 20% of your charges for treating a Medicare patient. The Medicare Advantage programs are supposed to follow that same percentage. And I'll use one hospital as an example. In 2019, their rate was 19%. In 2022, and it increased slowly to that, but in 2022, it went up to 28%. But a lot of those managed care companies didn't change their rate, and they kept it at 19%. And just in some of the preliminary work that we've done in this pilot project, for this hospital, it was what we looked at back to 2019 was about $1.5 million. And the other factor that we're looking at is what they call is the rounding, where they'll round your payment, and typically they aren't rounding up, they're rounding down. And over a period of time, it can be significant dollars. So, this is something we're working through. We've been working on this probably for the last 60 to 90 days. I'm working with an IT company out of Louisville, Kentucky that's being able to pull the remittances, the EOBs basically that we get from these managed care, the Medicare managed care companies, and then going back and verifying, okay, this is the rate they were supposed to pay you, this is the rate they actually paid you. What we found too is that it is not a consistent. One time they'll pay you the correct rate, next time it may not be the correct rate. So we're going through all these steps, and I hope to be able to roll this out to other Alliant facilities that we can start looking at it, because you see constantly, at least in our industry news avenues, where some hospitals have taken the drastic step that we're no longer going to take Humana patients because Humana is not paying us what they should be. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but what we want to be able to go back to and have hard evidence to go to one of these Medicare Advantage plans and say, on these patients, this is the amount that you underpaid us, and we expect payment on it.
I got a question. For us to audit that ourselves, it would take what, a day a person or 3 days a person or something?
Well, it is, again, the time to go back, because again, what a lot of times they'll do is they'll send you a remittance with 20 patients on there that you treated in a month period. And going back to each one of those patients, pulling out their bills, verifying what was paid, what was allocated by the insurance company for that patient, what it should have been, is a very complex, time-consuming thing that most hospitals, even if your big hospitals, don't have the personnel to be able to do it. That's why we're working with this IT company that's being able to go into our systems, our CPSI, our evidence systems, pull that data out of there, and then be able to tabulate that information for us. It's almost impossible to do it manually. You have to have an automation to be able to accurately get that information.
Who's developing that for you?
It's a company called Lockbox, and they're based out of Louisville, Kentucky. And again, we're still in the pilot stages of this, but so far it's looking promising, so I'm not able, we're not to the point to roll it out yet. I think there's still some things we're working through, but that's who we're working with, a company called Lockbox AI.
Is Lockbox AI affiliated with Alliant in any way?
No. We have no, we came across them totally independent. They're not part of Alliant. They're just a company out there that we came across, and they said, we were talking to them about what we see as our needs, and they're actually developing this because they see that if it's not just one of the Alliant hospitals, but all these other hospitals in the country, we're the potential to do it. Lock, L-O-C-K box, B-O-X.
Okay, how far back will they look? What is like 2019? I would guess we could, if we found out some problems there, they wanted to buck up on it, I guess we could work on a little settlement agreement.
Right. Well, and again, we haven't even gotten to the point to determine, what the cost of this would be. Is it a, revenue share type of thing where if they find this money, they get a percentage of what they find, so we still got to work through some of those details, but I did want to just mainly, relay to you all that we see this as a huge problem for hospitals, and we're trying to be proactive in saying, how can we find a way to come back and get this money?
Good. The media, you're going to be able to get that data on, and has to be looked at very carefully, because if you can't get it back in a X's and O's or I's and zeros, you're basically lost because you're not going to have input and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges we've had so far is the first go at the data, you know, really wasn't reliable. And that's why then we took this facility and basically downloaded all the 825s. It's what they call the 825s that come from the insurance companies. So then we were able to download all that information that basically gives you what they paid per patient, per diagnosis, per all that stuff that goes along with that. So that's what they're compiling right now, is pulling that, what they call the 825s that we get from the payers to be able to use that information.
So they basically have to take and develop an interface that pulls that data and dumps it over here and says, okay, this applies to Weems.
Right.
Now, let's go look at this is what you told us you paid us. Here's the standard. Now, who keeps the standard up to date, you know, as far as what we should be getting?
Well, each year, what we do is, you know, when we file the cost report, Medicare sends back, and Tom, help me if I misspeak here, but each year, Medicare will come back and say, okay, here's your rates based upon the cost report that was filed. And, you know, we've all heard about adjustments to the positive and adjustments to the negative based upon what your costs were. Then they determine an outpatient rate and say, okay, we're going to pay you, and what's Weems' outpatient rate right now, Tom?
They're upwards close to 80% because they charge so little.
Yeah. But so you know, then they'll use that percentage and say, okay, you know, we're going to pay you on an outpatient rate this amount. We then notify all the Medicare and Medicaid, all of our payers, these are our rates for the coming year. And then it's our, you know, that's how we notify them. And then technically they're supposed to adjust their rates up or down based upon that Medicare letter we get on what we were going to be paid on.
I want to go back to an earlier question that I had based on the swing bid and the interface and coordination. Do we not get a report or something as far as our in-house person and their coordination with the different hospitals on the swing bid? You follow what I'm saying? Our in-house efforts to reach out and pull. Where is that report that tells us, the board, hey, this is what we've done this month?
Okay, we can begin to give you that. You know,
every quarter.
We can give you every quarter because we just started the program. And technically, we have that information. We use that and all that. So we can develop a kind of report, a quarterly report. I can coordinate do that. That way you all can have it.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that you had more swing bed patient days than these 9 patients. So what you're asking, and I think we can generate that quite easily, and said, okay, your total swing bed patient days was 300. This program facilitated 128. I'm just using it as that 300.
In-house program.
Because again, what doesn't get calculated in this is if you have an inpatient here that's an inpatient and you move them to swing on your own, that would not be calculated into this number.
Yeah, but we'll give you.
But there could be adjustments made for them, right?
Yeah, but we can have our own report, internal report, technically saying, you know, this is how many came in, this is how many referrals came in, this is how many stayed X amount of days.
That's all I have.
Anybody got any other questions? All right, CEO.
Well, like they say in church, don't go to sleep and shake yourself. And we were coming down, I know it's 11, 10, can, and we got 2 more items that we need to go through, so I want to make sure we have enough time for Mr. Perry to discuss the governing board bylaws, and for Mrs. Escher to do the foundation update, and for him to talk about this.
Is this the program where he?
Yeah. These are my information items.
This your report here?
Yeah. This is information items.
January 25th, 2023.
Well, let's move that date to 2024, you know.
24.
That check was still.
Yeah, we're just gonna check that off.
That
Yeah,
check was still cash, so maybe, I'm not sure.
Yes, 2023, you know, I don't drink, so maybe that's a typo, that one. You know, providing quality care close to home, you know, we talked about, before the month, just to let you all know that, Mary Mayhew, the Florida Hospital Association, President, Franklin County DOCC, has requested that Mary Mayhew, President, CEO of the Florida Hospital Association, appear before them on February 6th to discuss some options for the future of Weems Memorial Hospital. I will be unable to attend that particular meeting. I'll be out of town on a previously scheduled event, so I will not be there, but I would like for all of you all to be there. It's going to be a very good opportunity to hear Mary Mayhew February 6th. And I'll send out, I will send out a reminder to you all, you know, up to that date. So I just would prefer you all to be there to hear what she has to say. Florida Hospital Days at the Florida Capitol on January 16 and 17. I participated in the Florida Hospital Association Hospital Days with other hospital CEOs from around the state. We visited various state representatives and senators, discussed issues important to rural health. We talked about one earlier, that's the $10 million recurring funding. And the second issue that will impact rural health is what we call the creation in the Florida statute for a pathway for rural hospitals to convert to a rural emergency hospital license. And so you'll hear more about that coming up through the legislature. And we've already talked a little bit about that rural emergency hospital license, which means any rural hospital, if they wanted to convert to that, they can go ahead and convert and have the emergency room stay open, have your clinics, have your EMS part of that, but you have to close your inpatient unit. So that's some other stuff that will be coming through that more. And Mary Mayhew may talk a little bit more about what's happening on that state level. Human resources transition. At this time, I just want to you know, Jen is not here. She's with her last day was last Friday, but she's still working with the team here. Matter of fact, she's over there now doing some onboarding. But let's just give her a hand clap because she's been here 18 years, and she's transitioned to be the Human Resource Director of Calhoun Liberty Hospital here. So we have reassigned some of the HR duties to internal staff. Jenny has been collaborating with our team to aid in the transition. Robin will be handling the onboarding of the staff. Heather will be the medical staff liaison. Samantha Henry will continue to manage payroll and benefits. In addition, Decision HR, which is our professional employer organization, our PEO, they offer payroll services, which we were a part of, worker comp service, which we're a part of. They offer some human resource services and benefits administration. Jenny, myself, Heather, and Samantha will be meeting with them tomorrow to see if they offer some other HR services for us. Decision HR is the leasing company that the employees belong to. You know, they're not Weems employees, they're a PEO per se. Weems 65-year celebration. We're celebrating 65 years here at Weems. So that's a great milestone for this particular community. I have some logos that Robin is passing out here. And what we'll do, we're having our staff member, we're doing a poll, and they'll be voting what logo to use for this year for the 65th anniversary. We will also plan some different activities. I don't want to get ahead of myself yet, but I talked to Bill Zester yesterday, Tom and I, you know, we're thinking about doing a signature event this year. And so, okay, that's great. All right. That's the Weems 65th year celebration. These are the logos that we'll begin to implement this year. 65 years this hospital has been providing a service here into this community, and we know that healthcare has changed a whole lot. But one thing has been steady: this hospital is still standing. We don't do everything, may not be at 100% yet where we want to be, but we're still trying to get better as we move along here at this hospital. We talked about the mammography room ribbon cutting. I will send you all another notice out on that. January 31st at 9:30 a.m. And I will send you all probably an email on that Monday, just a reminder for you. 31st, yeah. Next Tuesday at 9:30. I think that's the 31st, I believe. But you'll get an email from me, the board members, about that. And that is with the chamber and with Franklin Needs. And then we will have our open house for the mammography on February 27th at 3 p.m. And we'll invite the community out for that, have some snacks. But we also will send you an email right prior to that too, so you'll know about that. Yes. February 27th. We also have, I want to just bring it to your attention, Ms. Donna Butterfield has resigned from the hospital board here, and then her replacement will be appointed by Commissioner Ricky Jones, and so that's that.
What district is Ricky Jones in?
He's in East Point. Is it is district? I don't have it, but I can get it to you. We can check to see what district is in. But he's in the East Point, St. George Island. Yeah, East Point, St. George Island district. Yeah. But he's in East Point in St. George Island, and I can get that information. Excuse me, Donna Butterfield. Yeah. I think she moved out of the area. Yeah. She told the county commission during their meeting, one of the meetings in December, for that. Your next governing board meeting is February 29th. February 29th is the next governing board meeting, and we will make sure that we get the notice out to you on that as well. Also, just for your information, I did speak with, had a meeting with the new commissioner, Commissioner Anthony Kroom. Anthony Kroom is District 3, this area here. Governor DeSantis appointed him as our new commissioner to replace Commissioner Noah Lockley. And so him and I had a very, very good meeting as well. And I just want to just reiterate, I definitely appreciate this. There's a lot of different things going on in this hospital. And you saw by the different many people that are speaking here. We're not where we want to be. Thank God we're not where we used to be. But we still got a lot of work to do. It's almost like bedrooms. Trying to get one bedroom get clean, you got to clean another bedroom there. And so I do value, I want to tell you that we do value our board, because you all are volunteer board. You don't get paid anything. This is volunteer, your time and effort. But we do appreciate you and all that you do here for us. And I know we're moving to the governing board bylaws. I want to give John Berry enough time to talk about that, because he's been working on that for a while. Yeah.
And how come Dr. Conrad's situation with the CHP's not on that report?
Well, we talked about that a little bit, a part of the clinic piece. That he had got credential with them already.
Officially what happened as far as Dr. Conrad and CHP?
We did not notify each board member directly, but we did put in my weekly report that we were working with to get Dr. Conrad credential with CHP. And so, no, well, I sent it to you all. Yeah, you all have the report that I need to make sure you're on that list. And I'll double back to make sure you're on that list. But technically, I sent a report out saying that we were working on the credentialing for Dr. Conrad. The credentialing was established back in November, but we hadn't heard yet from CHP when that will become available. Usually this takes about 3 to 6 months. Tom can talk about it a little bit more. When a new provider is trying to get credentialed with a lot of other insurance providers. So CHP was just one of them. We have a whole slew of them that we got him credentialed with at that particular time.
What's going to happen with the gap between, and I bring this up because this is how I heard about it, and they brought me to tell me what was going on. Evidently, CHP insurance holders had to pay out of pocket for some of their services that were over and above what their deductible would have been. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I hadn't heard that, but what I did put out, to an individual that sent me some information about, the CHP policyholders, that if anybody that was a CHP policyholder that was one of our patients, and that the out-of-pocket pay, that we will waive that out-of-pocket pay for them. So I gave the individual my number specifically. They can call David Walker, And so we did make that available to our patients, that had CHP.
Are we on the hook, is the hospital on the hook for anything that happened during this period of not being certified?
No, it's all credentialing CHP. But CHP went back as Dr. Conrad application was effective 11/20 something. So technically, we can go back and back bill from that time to collect the monies, that we've seen. Yeah, from CHP. Yeah.
Well, it hasn't started as of yet because it just happened yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
yes,
it's going to happen. Yes.
Well, we have an answer for those people that are policyholders that they don't get stuck with it.
Yes. That's why I gave my number out specifically to the person that I was talking to.
And it's not coming out of the hospital operations.
No. And let me just give you some insight on this also. Most insurance companies, when you bill, let's say you got, you signing up for a new insurance company, like in Medicaid, managed care, those, you submit the physician application on January 1, and then they may not get credential until March 3rd. But most companies let you go back and bill from January 1 when the application has gotten submitted. And so you just got to follow up that process to make sure that you're getting your bill in. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the vast majority do allow you to go back and bill back to those dates. Not all, but most. So, obviously, the longer it takes also, sometimes we have to drop a bill, make sure it doesn't get a timely filing issue. So we watch it very, very, very closely as we're going through these processes.
The CHP has been a good partner with us. They fast track that. Some of the other insurance companies may not, it may take a while for them to do it. But CHP has always been they're a good payer. They fast track the credentialing for Dr. Conrad very quickly. He was already previously credentialed with them. And so those are some of the things when you have new providers come in. We're not unique. I'm hearing stories in other counties, other physicians, having problems getting in network. Murder, so get a line.
Workshop on dementia. Was that here?
Oh yeah.
Was that to the public, just hospital?
No, that was to the public. Robin has been working with me on it, and we put it out through the Department of Health. We put it out Facebook, but that's open. And there's another series, a dementia. Another one is coming up pretty soon. Yeah. But
I missed it. I got the flyer. I don't know. I missed it. But every day at the Holy Family Senior Center, about 25 seniors have lunch every day around 11 o'clock. So it might not be a bad idea. It might be easier to have a class there.
Yeah,
to try to get them to come
here. Yeah, thank you for that, Curtis. So Robin, we'll put a note there. They'll probably try to get the classes there because technically you got a ready-made audience there. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have. Excuse me, this is a public records law. We have to give this out to the board every quarter, and it just tells you that, you know, who applied for public records. So just want to make sure y'all got that. Excuse me? No, I don't tell you why. It just tells you that they applied for it.
Okay, let's see, next item on the agenda is Weems governing board bylaws, John Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully everybody has a packet, and within that packet is the bylaws themselves and the adjustments that's been made to them for y'all's perusal and approval. On the first page of it, you can see that at the top it's just basically a grammatical error that needed to be corrected from the capital 2 to the little 2. Then in the next paragraph, purpose of it is to ensure we use correct terminology there. Change that. Nothing else till we get to page 3, I believe it is. In page 3, number B, it says purchases, make commitments to purchase, or enter into agreements to purchase. And here's the key: any real estate, real property, or capital improvement, and it had in there exceeding $5. Okay? And it's now been changed. There is no limit, because we can't do it. It has to go to the board. This $50,000 doesn't apply to real estate or real property or capital improvements.
So, hold on, I don't understand that now.
Okay.
I don't understand what you're talking about there.
There's limitations on the board. And if you go back to page 2, 3.2A says that we are not allowed to dispose of lands, buildings, functionality, usable capital improvements, or any prior. Is that what you're saying? So we don't have the authority to do that because that's part of our limitation of our board.
Correct.
Yeah, but
So the $5, which was wrong, $50,000 is wrong too. We don't have the authority to dispose of property.
Yeah, but we can capital improvements. Y'all want to take that whole thing out, or?
Well, I would, yeah, capital improvements.
Make commitments to purchase, entering agreements to purchase.
Any real estate, real property.
Okay, so that's one thing there, real property, or capital improvement.
Which is a building, to build something, okay?
I don't know.
Well, they do, on A, they do have disposal of land, buildings, or functionally usable capital equipment.
What about the sale of
The sale of it.
Yeah.
Well, we can't purchase it either.
Can't purchase it without the county commission's approval.
Where you going? I don't know.
Regardless if it's $1 or if it's $1 million.
Okay, that's fine, that's good. Do you want to take B out altogether? Or a limitation is to purchase, make commitments, purchase, enter an agreement to purchase real estate,
real property,
or capital improvement. Right. Well, now wait, capital improvement, if a roof blows off, is that a capital, change the roof? $300,000, is that a capital improvement?
Yep.
Right, but so like if you had to replace the ceiling towels or the floors or things like that.
Well, we're putting the new doors in.
Are you trying to differentiate between what would maybe be a repair versus a capital improvement?
Yeah. Bottom line is, big number in there, and it's a real estate or it's a capital improvement. We're gonna have to go back to the commission for approval. That's the way it was always set up. How this got changed, nobody can tell you. Okay? It just appeared like an angel. It came along and got in this work paper, and it said $5. Well, wait a second, there's nothing we can do with $5, right?
So we won't take B out altogether?
No. You have a limitation, and it's going back to the 2006 minutes of the Board of County Commission. And that limitation is when it comes to these type of items, you can't do it without an approval from the county commission. You have the ability to contract for different services, but if that services get into the $50,000 range, you got to go to them also.
Okay, I just, the only thing I'm concerned about, and I totally agree with you, is the definition of a capital improvement. Would the doors have been a capital improvement?
I would have thought that the doors would have been more
expense
of repair. It would have been expense.
Maintenance.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I just
want to get around it.
I'm not
It's
an
maintenance.
accountant, so I don't know the definition of capital improvement. I don't want us to do something, spend $3,000 for it, and somebody say it's capital improvement. That's what I'm talking about.
They're not going to do that.
Okay.
I like it right.
The next item is D, which it says enter in any contract, it's into, which is the verbiage. On item 3.5, okay, it says, I don't know what consecutive telonyms were, but it's terms, the word is terms. Okay. Board members, there's 9 of us, and 2 have no voting rights, according to this. Okay, under absentees, say it's section, not 5, because there is, section 5 is way up later on, it's section 3.5. You follow me?
Yep.
Okay, on 3.10 vacancies, it's also section 3.5. Okay? Page 5, previously it read abstain on any vote. It's supposed to be abstain from any vote. Okay? And it said, what's important now is this underlined verbiage that says a member may participate by a vote in a vote by telephone if so requested. Okay, but it doesn't say who requested. Okay, that needs to be fixed somehow. And then it goes on to say a member can participate by telephone if so requested, but cannot count for purposes of having a quorum. Now, if all the positions, everyone understands what a quorum is, correct? Yes. Because I questioned some of it. If you have when we hold these meetings, quorum, based on we have supposedly 9 members, but if we only have 7 filled, the quorum for 7 is 4. Follow me? And I point that out because if it's not.
No.
Back
That'd
up.
be voting members. That would be voting members here. We don't have 9 voting members.
You don't, it doesn't say anything about voting members.
Well, I mean, a quorum.
Quorum? Okay, go ahead.
We need to do something with that, okay?
A quorum is 9, right? Everybody agree that there's 9 on the board?
No.
Well, you have not.
It needs to be voting members.
When you have 6.
Okay, to get a quorum. We need to go back there. The quorum, all we're concerned about is voting members for the quorum. That's why you want to get the other folks that aren't voting members, don't need to be part of the quorum of the board. Why would they? They don't have any voting rights.
Yeah, because technically,
am I wrong?
Yeah, technically, I'm a part of the board, not the Conrad is. But
We don't get any votes, though.
We're not voting members.
You
board.
can participate.
Yeah, so the board, Yeah, we participate, so the
Needs
board.
to be voting members.
Well, you had 9 people, 9 members of the board, of which 2 of them are non-voting. Now,
Okay, so you.
who is it?
So you've got 7.
The two members of the board that are employees of the hospital cannot vote on the issues. Okay? So, but they're still part of the board.
Exactly.
Okay? So they make up the quorum, according to Robert's Rules of Order. The quorum is the majority of, major majority, super majority, whatever you want to call it, of the 9 members. And therefore, it is 5. Now, if the seat's not filled, like Butterfield's seat's not there, it's only 8. So what is a quorum with 8? The majority, still 5. Okay? Now, if there were 2 positions not filled, then there would be 7, and the quorum would be 4. You agree?
Yeah, I don't agree with the, I don't know, Robert Rules of Order.
Well, you're gonna send it over to the attorney anyway.
Yeah, well, let me just preface this also.
And I'll tell you something else, historically, I thought what the Sunshine Law said you couldn't vote by telephone. Now, I might be wrong. You have to be present at the meeting to vote. And I'm pretty sure of that too.
Well, this one said, this read, that, hey, I think they did it for COVID purposes, or whatever happened in 2019.
No. This was done in 2019.
2019.
When H.D. Pennington became CEO here. But he was still a CEO here. So it's like, I think it was done like February, January 2019, in that early part. So this was like way before COVID. But just let the board know, any changes, like the changes that we want right now in the bylaws, we would send this to Attorney Schuler.
Right.
Attorney Schuler will review it and say, yep, no, here's the change.
Okay.
All right, so a member may participate in a vote by telephone, and this was how it was written, if so requested, but it doesn't say who requested it. Everybody has equal authority to ask for that person to vote, or is it the chairman? Who is it?
I know the county commission does not allow people to vote by telephone. Have you ever heard of vote by telephone or electronic stuff? No. And I'm just pretty sure that needs to be taken out. I think, I've got a note here, and I think Mr. Schuler could tell us that this part here might have been before part of the public record law, but that needs to be taken out. I do believe, and I'm not sure of it, but I think some question came up. We asked the question a few years ago to Attorney Schuler when we're running so low on members, and he said, no, you can participate but not vote. Hadn't we done that before? Haven't we done that before? We've done it before. We've done that before. Y'all remember? Yeah. I do think we need to have that question answered there.
Well, these changed again. Let me go back. Maybe it'll help.
Oh, yeah, sure.
These got changed from 2006 to 2019. They were fine. But something happened in 2019 that changed this.
I don't know.
And I can't find it in the minutes of this board, or I can't find it in the county commission minutes where it authorized it. Somebody just came along and changed it.
I don't know.
Now you can't come along and change these bylaws.
I know you can't.
Attorney Schuler has to be involved, of course, and so we'll send it to him.
Okay, so like it says, language is changed or underlined between this version and the previous bylaw version back in 2006. There were versions changed in 2015, 2019, and we're on the 5th set now. Okay. Place in the, let's see here, we underlined, but cannot count for the purpose of having a quorum present for any meeting.
Let me give me an opportunity to give with Mr. Moran and Michael Schuler I'll have to sit down with them.
Well,
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do with this.
I think you need to make sure the board itself understands this first before we go running for hell. I mean, because it doesn't make sense. That's what I was
Well, I know.
delegating.
I'll ask y'all, you
But
understand the question
the
we need to ask?
attorney would know up front, wouldn't he?
Not necessarily. He's gonna have to go back and research it, but he does have the papers that I sent to him with regards to what type of board this really is, which will come up in a little bit later. Okay?
What kind of board?
Yeah, are we, I don't want to go into it, but basically are we an authoritative board or we are advisory? Which one? What do y'all think?
We're authoritative with limitations.
Right.
Right.
Which are necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
Limitations.
Those limitations go back to that acquisition of real estate,
Right.
selling of real estate,
Yeah, sure, yeah.
$50,000 amount.
Yeah, well, we got that straight, we know that.
Okay, we've got to be fixed. And then it goes down to number 4.3, which is basically was a typo error. Okay. Next page, we got the forums, we do have reference to the Robert's Rules of Order. You had to have that in there, and I finally found it. Chairperson, it says here that under 5.2, the members of the hospital board will annually vote for appointing 2 members of the board to serve as chairperson and vice chairman of the board and hold such position for a period of 1 year unless the term voluntarily rescinded or incumbent is removed from a majority of the county commission. That's what the county board is. They, by a majority vote, can remove any of us. It previously stated hospital board. And that's why I noted this. Such election will be held at the hospital board meetings in November of each year. Okay, then it goes down to the duties of the chairman. Serve as, and number E is serve as the primary liaison. That was just a spelling correction between the hospital and Franklin County. Note, added item from a previous bylaws dated 2006. That's good. This item F got added. This was not from in the previous bylaws of 2006. I think it got added in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
It's item E, not
Item E.
E.
Item E.
That's why item E, right here. I'm trying to just give you a little history of how some of these things happen. Number 5.6, duties of the CEO, and it stated the following responsibilities with regard to, and it basically say regarding board activities. Again, it's a verbiage change on B, which is spelling of insured. E, deliver written notice to the chairman, providing a minimum of cash on hand liabilities, aged by 30-day increments. Do we have an aging of our receivables? Isn't this what this is calling for? Sounds like to me that, so do we get a report that shows the aging of the receivables?
You haven't been given a report showing the aging of the receivables. No, that has not happened.
Should we be getting?
We can, yes, absolutely. That's easy. Sorry.
Okay. Yes, we can do that. We age that every single month. We have the aging numbers, so we can tell you the number of days out, the number of days in AR we have.
Maybe you need to add that to the dashboard, yeah.
That's fine. Yep, we can do that.
We
Not
got
a problem.
financial report. Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Consult with the, F is consult with the chairman concerning the hospital operations. Note, added item. In other words, this item F was added since 2006, someplace along the line.
That note, is that in these bonds? That's in there, right? That's not something you.
No, I didn't do any of this. This is
okay, fine.
no, the note that said that I put there, it says note added from, I'm just giving you a history at that point. This is the way it was previous back in 2006. Now it's the way it looks now, and you can't find the audit trail or how it got changed.
Okay.
In other words, it gives the impression somebody got their hands on these bylaws and changed the meaning of some of these issues, and it was never presented to the board. And that's why this cleanup process has been tough.
Now, what could be beneficial too, if we give the board members, after John finished, we give you all a copy of the history of the Weems bylaws. You know, is that the one you have, John?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that way you can see the history, some of the conversation that was going in there. That, and Attorney Schuler would know.
Yes.
You know, at 2019, you know, we need to find out if there was a meeting early on in the county. I know John has done some research about it, you know, that approved changing of bylaws, you know, update the bylaws. We just need to figure that out.
And I'll get to that in just a second. Then the last 6.4, it says confidential patient information was spelled wrong. That's just a correction again.
Hold on,
Last page, 6.4. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Article 7 amendments. That's a numbering error. It should have been 7.1 in parentheses, not in parentheses, but 7.1. And then there was a colon in 7.2 placed after the 2, which needs to be corrected. And that's the changes that I've found. Now, I have researched all the way back to 2006 forward, since the establishment of the board. And I have furnished to, so y'all know, to the attorney also and to Mr. Walker, the definition of what this board's real purpose is, and that is it's an authoritative board, and they're going to take a look at that as far as the paper trail is concerned. There was a big discussion held in 2006 in the county commission meeting, and Attorney Schuler expressed to them at that point in time that if you change these bylaws, if you go along with this and this motion, that you now make this basically an authoritative board as opposed to an advisory board. And he's got that information. If you all want a copy of the 2006 minutes, I think it's very enlightening, the discussion that took place between the people that were around back then. And that's my report. It needs to be, probably the next action is to y'all go through it, give it, if you approve it, fine, then we send it on over to the attorney and let him take a look at it.
Let me ask something here. Now, what you highlighted in yellow is additions, correct?
There are additions and there are also comments as to.
Well, I need comments or additions.
No, when it says no, that's a comment.
No, that's a comment, okay.
Right.
And it's in parentheses.
Okay, I got you.
That's just, all I was trying to do is relay the research that's been done and where it came from.
I like everything. The only, the sticking point right here to me that I have is one sticking point is I don't think that voting by telephone is allowed. And when you're talking about a quorum, I would just think that the non-voting members are not included as a quorum because they're not in the decision when making at all. And to be honest with you, that would make it difficult sometimes to have a meeting if we've been down to how many, 3 or 4 members before? And
Present or actually appointed?
Appointed.
Okay.
So that would really.
Decrease that number.
You know, you understand what I'm talking about?
I know what you're
And
saying.
It can happen. It takes a while for folks to find folks to come in here and everything. But I just, the sticking point to me is if you're not a voting member, then you're not part of the forum. I mean, that's what I would say.
And
now, I don't know what Robert Rules of Order says about that, but we try to follow them. But this is one case that I don't think we need to go with.
well, maybe we should really ask the attorney, hey, here's what we have.
Yeah, and I'd like to get an opinion on that. There, that would be. I mean, I don't know how the board feels. You know, just, I don't care about it. Y'all think that non-voting members need to be part of the forum?
No.
No, I don't.
But I think there must be some law or rule somewhere that delineates that, rather than we make it up. It's got to be written down somewhere.
Well, we can put it in here.
We can take a question about it.
Sure, I got it right. I got notes right.
Yeah, what?
Okay, would you like me to have a sit down with Mr. Schuler and
Sure.
Mr. Brown before the next meeting and come back?
That sounds good.
I'll try to do it before the next meeting. I can't catch them sometime, but it might be before the next one, okay? Our conflict. Good job right there. Seriously, so just.
Well, the other thing, I don't know about you, John, what we're saying on page 3B, I just wasn't sure, are we striking that entire section that talks about dollars? Is that what we're saying?
No, that is, if I recall, no. It's just a matter, you can't delve into that type of business without going to the county commission for approval.
Right, so we don't need to have $5, we don't need to have $50,000.
That's correct. That's
So I'm
all
saying
that
you're
is.
striking the dollar amount.
That's right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to just clarify.
Right. I just for historical purposes, I don't know if y'all were here in 2006. But it basically, there was Miss Gail Dobbs was the chairman of the board back then, and Alan Pierce was the county administrator. And Attorney Schuler explained to the board, and I'm reading verbatim, that the approving of the bylaws, the status of the hospital board back then would change. Okay, back then would change, and the hospital giving the new board most of the managing authority of the hospital. Y'all need to really hook on to that, because that has a lot to do with liability. All right, if you're an advisory board, that's one thing. If you're a authoritative board, you've got to manage. You may not have realized, but you got your hands into deeper in the hospital than you probably realized when you got on the board.
I mean, I would say, how authoritative can we be if you could be replaced by the BOCC at any moment that they don't like the vote or don't like the direction the board's going?
Yeah.
I mean, how?
Yeah.
We don't really have that authority and power. And if we have to go to them with any contract over $50,000, and we can't do anything to dissolve property or sell property or buy property or any of that, we really are handcuffed in a lot of ways as far as our authorities on this board. So
I think to address that, I think what they wanted you to do is be the buffer between them and the county commission, and you were basically the managing partner. And only thing you can't do is go out and hire an alliance, but you are to be the ones who give direction to Mr. Walker and the chairman, whomever, and give direction as to what the board itself agrees on. You're going to manage the hospital if, in fact, that's what they want you to do. Now, granted, there is that issue of, oh, I don't like them doing that. That's not something that we want them to do. Well, if they haven't specifically said that in here, then we are charged with it, and if we don't do it, and we get into a situation that we could have our hands tied legally and so forth, then you gotta think about that side of the equation. Maybe it's time, do you ask the direct question? You want us to be authoritative, or you want us to be advisory? And they're gonna say, I guarantee you, in my opinion, they're gonna say, we want you to be authoritative because we need y'all to handle the day-to-day operational issues at the hospital.
That's what's in here. That the governing board.
That's what the bids talk about it.
Yes, in here?
Yeah, I mean, the governing board of our law says that the hospital board handles the day-to-day operations of the hospital. That's what it says.
And some people say,
wait a minute, whoa, here. The purpose of the board is to oversee the public health care service in Franklin County. Okay? It does not say, I know it might conflict a little bit. It gives us oversight of the public health care service in Franklin County. Okay? So that's a little between authoritative and what they said advisory. I don't know any way to put that, but and that's what we do. We oversee it.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I mean, I don't know. I know. So I mean, I don't know how to answer that question right there. But I know what that says right there.
All right, so what are next steps on this? We look at it, get back at the next meeting, and then it goes over to the, so between now and the next meeting, Duffy, you're gonna talk to the town attorney and.
Would you like to
get
do
those?
y'all want me to do that?
Yes, please.
Can I do that, y'all?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So that would be good. Then we could all agree with, whatever their opinion is on that.
John, you got anything else?
no, sir, that's it. Thanks.
Good thorough job. Let's see.
But I have one more thing.
Sure.
Thank you, Paula. Paula did most of this work. I just did some.
That's
Robin. That's Robin.
Take out, get him out.
Robin, so sorry. Thank
Paula,
you.
you need a raise. Put up in.
I try not to bother too much.
What you got? Is that it? You got Bill?
All right, I'm from Jersey. I'm gonna try and talk really quickly, okay? I don't want this to drag out too much longer. As far as the foundation is concerned, that's probably getting to be some key dates as far as what the calendar looks like for the hospital, because we'd like to have the foundation piggyback off of that. We also have our 65th coming up anniversary. Sapphire is would be the anniversary stone if you were talking about a wedding anniversary. So maybe we can kind of move Sapphire into the equation. We'd like to we'd like to get some information about going forward with a fundraiser. So if we look at what our calendar is and what the dates are and what we can get in front of, we kind of kicked around an opening idea of having a black tie optional dinner and gala at some point this year. So all our events culminating up to that could tie into it and get a lot of public support and starting early on getting public support out there if we are going to move down that road for that kind of a fundraiser. We'd like to get, she'd like to get get interest in my flow. I was trying to do it quick.
The most successful fundraiser that I've seen was somebody had one big one, basically one time a year. And I think that's a great idea. People love that here. $500 a table or something like that.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to think of. I mean, if people want to get dressed up and get up to something special, it could be a nice event with music and food and booze, whatever, you know, just to get people in the door, so.
Why don't we
so-
dress like they did 65 years ago?
Well, let's get some pictures and see what that looks like.
Okay, well, we are, that'd be fun, you know? That'd make it fun.
I
was not 65, I put a helper on.
Duffy, what did you wear back then?
I was out of diapers. Paisley, baby, Paisleys and,
Some bell bottoms or whatever?
Yeah, no, we had those pants that were so tight that down on the legs, remember? What do they call them?
Well, they're back in, I got a pair I'm wearing now. Anyway, maybe since you, Robert, were so good at pulling up history, they were asking about if we have any pictures or photos from back then. I see there's one on the wall here.
Yes.
I mean, if there's any other information or pictures or maybe what the board looked like back then or whatever you can find in the archives would be of interest.
Yeah,
And then we
we're-
can kind of bring that up, you know?
Yeah, we're planning to switch these out like once a month.
Yeah.
And I've checked into the library to
Okay.
see if they have some
Yep.
history, and we do have some things here too.
Well, if we can share that with the foundation, maybe we can all
Okay,
work
yeah,
that into the
absolutely.
public
Okay.
and PR campaigns for what we're doing for this year. What's the other thing? Oh, was there ever a postmortem done on the health fair?
Was there a what?
A postmortem meeting to discuss the health fair itself?
No, we have not done that. We've reviewed a few things with the managers, but not an official hot wash meeting.
All right, if you wind up doing that, include Colleen
Yes,
in that.
absolutely.
If you guys get to that point, I think it might be a smart thing to do, because attendance was a little light on it, and I think we need to figure out how we're gonna PR that and get it out into the mainstream quicker, with more efficiency, so that we get people to show up, or, maybe we need music, or maybe we need a beer tent, I don't know what it is, but we need something to drag them in, right?
Yeah, and we'll look at the dates too with that, because that day we had Dale Ball, we got a whole lot of things going on.
That's right,
here
that's
on that particular date, so that's why we'll plan ahead of time
Other things
and make sure
going on.
nothing is happening
Right.
on that day.
Well, that's one of the reasons why the calendar is important for here, but also we need to see what the Franklin County looks like, so that we can pick our date efficiently anyway. And that's all I have on foundation.
1958, that's when the year was, that's Elvis. I'll flick my hair back.
Hair?
Cigarette rolling up in my sleeve right there. We'll be ready to go.
We're ready to go, okay.
Wait, we're talking. Don't record much. Go ahead.
Oh, well, the other item that I was going to bring up, and I'm not sure if it's a moot issue now, because I was not aware of the survey that we did 6 months ago. I was going to suggest a survey taking the temperature of the employees on a anonymous, maybe 10-question survey to get an idea of what, how we're doing here, and what the temperature is of the employees, how they feel about their position, management, their direct supervisor, et cetera. I was thinking that might be an important thing for us to really look at, and then maybe take some notes from what's said in that kind of thing. But since we did one 6 months ago, I'm not sure if it's a moot issue now, because I was not aware of that survey. And on clear transparency, I wish I was. And I don't know if anybody else on the board knew that the survey took place 6 months ago, but that certainly doesn't provide me a lot of confidence that I was unaware of that.
We can check the minutes on that. I thought we made numerous conversations that, we were getting ready for the press meeting survey. I think Paul and Jenny could have made mention of that as well. I think I made mention of it, so we can look through the minutes and see that was said.
It certainly could be me that I was napping at the time, but I didn't know about it. But sorry, what?
You said something about your confidence in who or what?
No, I said I might have been napping at the time. Maybe I didn't recognize that it was already discussed that there was a survey back in June that I currently wasn't aware of until recently. So I was putting out there that maybe we needed to do a survey now, because of the loss of some key employees that we've had recently, that I think goes to, you know, are we doing a good job in retaining people? And in this environment, it's difficult to find replacements. So retaining people that are good is got to be a paramount concern for this board, because we really don't want open positions for extended period of time. We haven't had a CFO for a year plus. How long is it going to be without an HR? Or are we just backfilling that position with multiple people? You know, I think Dr. Newton left. We got another opening that we're sitting on. You know, thank God Louis had been training a backup, but again, you know, which is great, and we were able to move from within. But there are a couple other positions here that are open, and is that a fault of the hospital administration, or are we not seeing something that's happening within our own environment that's leading to people wanting to leave?
I hear you, and I understand your concern. However, those people that left gave their reasons for leaving. And one of them, in EMS, he said it more than once, and we talked with him this morning. I'm happy that he's gone, simply because, is it a loss? Certainly it is. Anything that's going to promote somebody's career, that was the bottom line for him. That's what he said. That's what he said to us. And as far as anybody else that's gone, if they give their reasons for leaving, then, you know, I'm perfectly satisfied with it. I believe that everybody that is employed at this hospital is here because they want to be, from the top to the bottom. And another survey, I don't see where it's going to be anything that's going to be viable. We just had a survey.
Well, yeah, that's why I was saying it. I didn't realize that, so I was going to offer that we do a survey. But now that I see we had one 6 months ago, I'm saying what I was going to propose is probably now a moot issue or a non-issue, because we had one 6 months ago. I think we do need to stay on top of it and perhaps have one again in a year, not wait 3 years between surveys. So again, by the time somebody comes up on the podium and says, I'm leaving and here's my reason why, we're too late to the party. You got to be to the party before they put their departure in. Yeah. And you got to address the concerns of the employees before they get to the point that they put the resignation in.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me just interject some things. You know, of course, you know, we've had turnover. Now, Paula Moore said, you know, our turnover rate is pretty low here at the hospital. But we've had turnover just like any other industry. You know, we had Newton left. He's not a Weems employee. You know, we had Louis left his career. Jenny Kreiner is the other person that just recently left, the HR person. She's going to another facility. You know, turnover is there sometimes, and then we do what we can to fill certain positions here in the hospital. The CFO role, yeah, we can get a CFO technically. You know, will it be somebody that we want right now? So we've been working with Tom Ramsey as our interim there. So we definitely want to take a look at a lot of our turnover. That's why we did the wage increase for nursing, because we had a high turnover rate then. You know, that's the area then. We had nurses leaving, per se, you know, because of the wage stuff there. So we'll continue to look, you know, how can we make this organization a better organization here? And one of the things, you know, Weems as a whole, you know, we have to make sure that we're stable, and that Weems as a whole may look different within the next year. A lot of things coming on up here. And so that may also, you know, have an individual that may want to be better.
I was just going to say, and you know, my recommendation might be that we take up our own survey, maybe in 6 months from now. That'll be a year since the last one. A lot of changes will happen between now and then, and maybe we do it again, an outside survey, anonymous, shorter number of questions.
phone call to them, before the entire thing. I didn't think it was really necessary, but I said, yeah, let's do it. But it's nice to do, I don't think let's do it wrong. We talked, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, we're set up for the end of the year, you know, to cover any base, needs to be covered. So, no great secrets we're gonna go on or anything like that, but just a bit of, I didn't need it, I got his phone number anyway, everybody's phone number, they're good about answering the phone too. Call you back, but thank you, Mr. Governor, I appreciate that, that's good information for you. So, anybody got anything else? Meeting adjourned.